Alright, what's going on, guys? Kind of been having this one on the back burner for some time now. I don't really have a reason why. I just kind of been waiting till I shot a few more rounds through it and see how it handled. And so far, so good. This gun's very reliable. Haven't had no problems with it. This one here is a Taurus Model A56. It's chambered in 38 special. It is plus P rated, so you could shoot 38 plus Ps out of it, no problem. It does say in the manual, however, to not really make it a regular thing when you shoot 38 plus Ps out of it all, like all the time, because it is more pressure in those rounds, and you will wear out your gun quicker if you use those all the time. But if you just carry it with plus B 38s for like self-defense, you should be fine. As you can see, the gun is clear. Cylinder's open. There's no round in there. Each chamber is clear. Go ahead and close this guy up. So real quick, I'd like to point out the main thing I like about this gun, and that's its look, man. I really love how the gun looks itself. It's a really pretty good size, easy to conceal, and very affordable. And yeah, it just looks really good. Besides it being really reliable and, good looking, this thing does have some stuff going for it, and I'll go ahead and point it out. So the good thing is that this gun does come with a removable front sight, which is held in place by a pin here. I'll see if I can focus it here. Come on. Having trouble focusing it, but there we go. There is a pin holding this front serrated sight, so you pop the pin out and you could remove this and replace the front sight. The rear is obviously fixed. It's built into the frame itself, so yeah, it's nothing much you could really do there. But with the front, they do make a night sight for it now. I believe it's Trigicon, or can't remember the brand, but they do make something for it, so that's cool. And or if you don't really want to get a night sight for it, you could just put some red paint on the serrations here. This is a serrated front sight, so it definitely helps with glare when you're out there in the sun. You can just put some red paint on the serrations, and it'll be a lot easier to pick up when you're actually trying to take some aim shots. Because to be honest, with a defensive gun, a lot of the times you won't really have the opportunity to really take an aim shot. I know it sounds really bad, but that's just the truth. A lot of the times when you have to pull out a defensive firearm, you just pull, aim, and shoot. A lot of times it's at close range, so this guy will definitely do his job. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes some sense. But yeah, you should definitely aim before you pull the trigger, for sure. But yeah. Hopefully that got that out of the way. The next thing I'd like to point out with this gun is that it does come with a pretty heavy trigger pull, which is fine, for me. If you shoot this in double action, it is a heavy trigger pull. If you want to shoot it in single action, and again, this gun has been clear, there's no rounds in any of the chambers. If you do want to shoot this in single action, you can. Pretty much you just pull the hammer straight back. It'll lock itself up in there, in place. And I believe out of the box, this gun comes with an 11-pound trigger. Single action, it does drop it down over half. So for taking well-aimed, precise shots, single action is definitely the way to go. As you can see, the trigger break will be a lot crispier than it would if you shoot double action. Obviously, double action is a heavy trigger pull, so it'll throw your sights off if you're not, holding it steady or whatever. But I'll go ahead and demonstrate the single action. See, hardly took anything. Now, a double action trigger pull definitely takes a lot more, for sure. But yeah, you could shoot it both ways, so that's a plus. And yeah, so next thing I'd like to point out is a lot of modern revolvers come with what's called a transfer bar safety. So you see the bar right there? So in order for this gun to go off, the hammer has to fall on the transfer bar, and then the transfer bar will hit the firing pin, which then the fire pin would hit the primer in the back of the cartridge and making the gun go off. So without the transfer bar being engaged by the hammer, this gun won't go off. And why that's important is because in the old school revolvers, pretty much the firing pin was built into the hammer itself. So when the hammer fell, it would hit the back of a round, making the gun go off. Sometimes at unwanted times. That's why a lot of cowboys back in the day probably ended up with holes in their foot or whatever for that reason. That somehow their hammer would get snagged on their closers or whatever. And if the hammer didn't lock itself to the back, and when it did that, it would fall back on the round, making it go off if it hit it hard enough. So that's cool. In order for this gun to go off, the trigger has to be pulled. That's the only way that the transfer bar will stay up, allowing the hammer to hit it, so then the transfer bar could hit the firing pin. So if you don't pull the trigger, I'll pull the trigger just to release the hammer real quick, and then I'll let go of the trigger. So you see, if you're not pulling the trigger, the transfer bar drops down, if you saw that. So when the hammer goes down, it won't be able to hit the firing pin. So that's pretty much what the transfer bar safety does, which is pretty cool, to be honest. It's a very good way to, make modern day revolvers a lot safer. So definitely a plus. So yeah, the only way this gun will go off is if you actually press the trigger. So something to keep in mind. Get a good holster for it, you'll be fine. It's a pretty heavy trigger pull. Unless you already cocked the hammer back, the chances of something getting caught in the trigger and pulling the trigger when you don't want it to are very low. But again, you should have the gun in a holster. Be responsible. Be safe at all times. You know what I mean? Real quick, if you do want to use a speed loader, the HKS speed loader for Smith & Wesson Model 10 does work on this gun. I'll go ahead and demonstrate real quick how easy it is to use these guys. Pretty much you hold the gun in a good position, you line up the cartridges in each chamber, and they just fall right in. Go ahead and close this bad boy, and there you go. This is the speed loader you want to use if you have this gun. It is a 6-shot, so it'll work perfectly. I'm not sure if I already mentioned that or not. The A56 is a 6-shot revolver, a little step up from the Model 85, which is only a 5-shot. So that's pretty cool. Real quick, something I wanted to go over. Snub nose revolvers obviously have a shorter ejecting rod because their barrel is shorter. So in order for you to, eject every spent shell out of the cylinder effectively, you probably should, once you're done shooting, hold the gun up just like this, then hit the ejecting rod to effectively eject every spent shell. Because if you're trying to, I'll demonstrate real quick. If you're trying to eject the spent shells and you're holding the gun like this, you won't be able to do it. You see that? So in order for you to effectively do it, go ahead and point it up and then hit the ejecting rod, and the shell will come out. And keep the gun lube, keep it clean. Definitely lube up the ejecting rod here, make sure it's good after every time you're done shooting it. Revolvers are pretty easy to clean, so that's a plus. Clean the barrel, clean each chamber, make sure it's clean, good to go, and should be good. This is a 2-inch barrel revolver, so you're not gonna get much velocity out of it. That's kind of for reason why I use these rounds here. These are the Federal HSTs micros here. The reason why they call micros I don't really know why, but the only thing I could think of is because it is a smaller, you know, package. Pretty much the bullet is in the casing itself. It's a hollow point that's in the casing, and the gunpowder is packed in here. So more pressure, obviously a plus P round, and which kind of helps get maybe a little bit more velocity, because I guess by it being in here, part of the chamber it's in will work as part, as almost as if it was part of the barrel. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's making sense. Compared to a bullet that's taken out, the bullet would be up to here, so it would give up a little bit of that velocity. But I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not really sure if it's significant or not. But just kind of something to think about. It does make sense, so I believe it, I guess. But yeah, I've shot about 150 rounds out of this gun. 50 of those rounds were plus P 38s. I shot a whole box of 50 out of this. I wanted to make sure this gun was good to go, and I shot it perfectly, no problems. And I shot 100 of regular target ammo, and yeah, it worked pretty good. So this gun is chambered, like I said, in 38 special only, but Taurus does make a model, the model 605. It is a 357, so you can shoot both out of it. I would highly recommend, if you can, getting that gun for the reason that you can shoot both rounds out of it, but you do give up one round in capacity because it's only a 5-shot, so you're something to think about. But honestly, at the time, I picked this up because it was a 6-shot, which is what I wanted, and it's 38, so should be pretty fun as long as you carry some good ammo with it, So I'm looking to integrate this into my everyday carry. This wouldn't be my primary firearm to carry. I like carrying Glocks. But that's a whole nother story. But this is a nice little backup if you're going to go like on a trip or something with the family. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is a very good gun. Haven't had no problems with it. Older Taurus revolvers, some of them had timing issues and other issues, but this one works great. I have not had not one issue. So I definitely trust it with my life. And yeah. If you're looking to buy this gun, I highly recommend it. I say go for it. You can get your hands on one. It's a nice little revolver, and it won't let you down as long as you take care of it. So, yeah. Real quick, so this gun didn't came with these grips here. These are the Hogue mono grips. I recently threw these on. Originally, it came with this grip here. But this grip's pretty small. I could only put 3 fingers around it. I feel like I'm a Ninja Turtle. My finger's just dangling there. My pinky, I can't really put it anywhere, so I like to get a good purchase on defensive firearms, so I went with something a little bit bigger. Originally, I had gone with these Pachmeyer Renegade checkered grips here. They're wood. They look really good with the gun, with black revolvers. As you could see, hopefully you get an idea. But they are very grippy and thick. It does help you get a good purchase. But if your hand's sweaty, it'll be a downfall for sure because it'll be slick. So I decided to go with these grips here. They definitely work a lot better. They help you get a better purchase of the firearm. There's a place for me to put my pinky, and I feel more secure with these grips here. So definitely went with these here. Yeah, thanks for watching this little short review. Hopefully it helps if you're thinking about getting this firearm. This is a very good firearm for the price that you get. For what you pay, you get a lot. And yeah, definitely won't let you down as long as you keep it clean. So if you're looking to buy this gun, you come across it, definitely recommend it. Thanks for watching.